for the sheriff's office and the state police. That's a conflict of interest for a variety of reasons that we see. We only got 3 minutes, so I can't go into an in-depth thing here. And after the discussion of it last night, Wayne over here would like to make the formal request that we have some action taken. So I'll pass it off to Wayne.
Thank you. The only point I would like to bring up is that county commissioners have oversight of the county budget, not the state police or the state budget.
And that's correct. And as we went over on October 15th, when I was here for the National Guard issue of Woodville, you guys are acting on the behalf of the state, even though you do not affect the budget of that. You guys are subject to the same laws. The Bangor PD is not because of home rule, and there's a variety of issues that kick into that. One of them being with the National Guard. If the governor should order that out, that process would also fall back on you guys to oversee that on the behalf of the governor. So that's a conflict of interest if he has oversight with the Bangor PD as well.
Thank you. Mr. Mallard.
Wayne Mallard, I was appointed last evening by the County Republican Committee to come and ask for a resolution by the commissioners as to the validity of the state law. The state law says he can't serve both, and also the city charter says he can't. So we need a resolution to resolve the issue and finally put it to bed.
Just to clarify, you asked for a resolution that...
Yes, a resolution of the fact that, I guess what we need to know is, where do you stand on this? The state law is specific. It gives you the power. You're the ones that determine whether he can serve on both. The city has in their charter, or not in their charter, but in their code, an article that also specifies that the occupancy of both offices is prohibited by the city council or by other provisions of the law. The law is very specific. It says he may not serve.
So at this point, not to interrupt you, but just to clarify, at this point we have nothing on the agenda to act on. This is public comment. If you wish to submit a request,
I wish to, yes,
then you can do so, and we will have our legal department, Redmond and Winchell, look at this to advise us. So
I personally won't, but the County Republican Committee will submit a resolution to, or will ask for a resolution to put this matter to bed once and for all.
We will look forward to receiving whatever communications you want to provide us, and we will then have it reviewed for us by our legal department to determine how this intersects with the state law that you've quoted here. Not having copies or having the experience as a attorney, I can't speak to that today, but I appreciate your bringing your thoughts forward in a professional manner. Thank you for your time today, and we'll look forward to hearing back.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day. Okay, others that are here for public comment purposes. Yes.
Can I have a point of clarification, Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
The United Way is on your agenda.
Yes.
Will we have an opportunity at that point to speak?
Yes.
Or should we take the time?
No,
we will have an
permit
opportunity
you
then.
at that point to speak. Yes, you're on the agenda. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for asking, though.
Thank
Okay. Any further public comments of those who are present? Any public comment online at this point? Seeing none, we will close the public comment. Thank you all for your attention at this point. We are at 9:15. How long would your presentation be, Registrar Boulay?
Should be very short.
Would you like to come forward then? Because I know you have important work to get back to.
We do, always.
Good morning, Registrar.
Are
Good
you
morning.
prepared for the next item on the agenda once she's completed? Well, not the next item, I'm sorry. The item related to our Zoom guests.
Yes.
Okay. All right, please proceed. Thank you for being here today.
You're most welcome. Good morning. So I did provide you with some figures for how we are doing in the Registry of Deeds as far as how busy we are, how many documents we have, and how much revenue we've brought in. As you can see, 2024 was a little bit better than 2023. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And January of 2025 has started out the year very nicely with a nice 25% increase over January of 2024. So the Registry of Deeds, I think, is doing very well as we expected that it would.
Mm-hmm.
So that is always good news.
Thank you for the good news.
Yes, we always need
We embrace that.
Yes. And I also want to bring to your attention a couple of legislative items that we have pending now in front of the state legislature. The first one is LD 358, which is an act to increase fees paid to the Registry of Deeds. We have not requested a fee increase since 2011, and obviously everything else in our world has increased dramatically. So we're hopeful that the legislature will agree. One never knows, as you know.
Do you know the pending date for that public hearing? or is
Public
it-
hearing is the 24th, so next Monday at 10 o'clock, state and local.
February 24th?
Yes.
Maine County Commissioners, of which I now serve as president, has had some discussion. I plan to, at the next call this week, provide them your testimony that you shared with me
Okay.
and see if we can get a position where we might submit some testimony on your behalf.
Okay, well, it's really on all of ours behalf, it's not really just the
I'd say that
registry.
generically, on
Yes.
the registry's behalf.
Yes, okay. So if you have no questions about that legislation, I just also want to bring to your attention LD 353, which is a commission to study deed fraud. It's an ongoing issue, as you know, and we have been offered a seat on the commission, the Registry of Deeds has. The Register in York County has been very active in this, and we're hopeful that she will be the person that's appointed if this commission does go through.
This would be potentially falsifying ownership of property.
Yes, I'm not sure how all-encompassing it will be, how the commission will study, but yes, we've had a couple of issues of deed fraud in this county where deeds were recorded that, the seller was not really the seller. Once it gets to us, there's nothing we can do. They've had the closing, the money's gone.
It's in
But
ink, it's in stone.
It is, but it is still something that would be nice to have some
So to
assistance.
clarify, the commission would in essence be a study, or it would
Yes.
be a standing commission?
I believe it's just a study.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Trumbull, do you have any questions on either of these items or other information from the register?
Just on the first one, on year-to-date volume, Susan, did you have some big sales, or was your total volume up 25% of transactions?
We had some big sales in January. We had several apartment buildings that sold for over $1 million. We had a mine in northern Penobscot County that sold.
A
and
mine or a piece of land?
A piece of land from a mining company. And the actual ownership of the land that BJ's sits on sold. BJ's itself did not change, but the land sold. So those were our big sales that were over $1 million.
Terrific.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Marshall, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Administrator, any comments or questions?
No, sir. Love the
Thank-
numbers.
Okay, we appreciate your good work and your report, and I will let you know what I find out from our call if we are able to supply some testimony.
Great, that would be wonderful.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
for your time. At this point, we're going to deviate from our agenda and bring the sheriff and his team back up for a presentation with a group that is joining us to provide some education.
Sure. What is the name of the person I need to let in that?
There's three of them. It's Cole.
Cole, Aaron, and Kara?
Cole. Yeah.
Okay.
I would just ask you.
Hey, Sheriff, it's gonna be me. You won't be looking for Pete or Sanjay.
Okay, so at this point, Sheriff, if you'd be kind enough to come forward and brief us on who is joining us and perhaps introduce them if you could.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm going to let Cole jump right into this. As you know, I had this past year been appointed to the National Sheriff's Association Drug Enforcement Committee, and it's afforded me the opportunity to represent Penobscot County and the Maine Sheriff's Association at a couple of conferences. During a conference in Oklahoma, I went to a vendor show and was able to observe several companies that were providing designs specifically to county jail needs. And during that time, we met with an organization they've shared some information with us in the past. They'd like to share some information with us today with you folks, so we may consider how to move forward and with our need for a county correctional facility.
Today is an educational portion on the type of facility that they generally build.
Yep, this would be Cole's is one of the design folks, and it's a little bit of a different concept than what we've seen here in our state. And it's the thought process today is to show us another potential option so that we can have some more options in front of us.
Yeah. All right, and with that, thank you, Mr. Porter. If you would like to introduce yourself and begin your presentation, we would be appreciative. I'm sorry, it's Walters, I said Porter.
Thank you, sir. So in this room, you have myself. I'm Cole Walters. I'm a project manager for RQAW. Yeah, Sanjay Patel. He's the lead Justice Studio, the Justice Studio lead for RQAW. And then you have Pete Peterson, who is the director of buildings and places at RQAW. So I'll go ahead and start with our presentation. We'll try to be quick for you guys. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes, you're doing fine, thank you.
Okay. Can you see my screen as well?
Yes, the screen is shared, and we have a large screen here so the public and the commission can see it.
Okay, thank you. So this is we're going to first go through our modular design. This is our facility in Indiana. So first we're going to go through our housing pod is what we call it, and then we'll kind of show you how this gets integrated with an entire sheriff's administration area. Some of the key points of this design are staff efficiency, staff safety, inmate travel, trying to make the spaces that they're traveling the shortest distance possible to keep the staff as efficient and safe as possible. So what you're looking at right now is the first floor. I'm going to use my big mouse here. So I'll kind of describe the overall plan and then we'll go into detail. So as you can see, this is like the main secure corridor is what we call it. Your intake and booking area and your sheriff administration would be down here. And this is where you would enter into that detention or secure side. So off.
If I may, your pointer is not coming up on our screen, so you might need to verbally describe. Oh, there we go. There's your pointer now. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'll start over again. Right here is where you would have your intake and booking and sheriff administration. So you'd have that directly adjacent to that secure corridor for the housing pod. Right off that secure corridor, you would have your support spaces. So you would have your classrooms, video visitation, interview rooms, your isolation cells. In case an inmate gets unruly, you can put them in an isolation cell, and then your stairwell up to the control room, which we'll get into. Another point I want to show you is the chase that we have on the exterior side of the detention area. That is to allow all maintenance to be in non-secure areas. So the maintenance staff does not have to lock down or anything to maintenance any of the plumbing or MEP fixtures in the back of the cells. As you can see, everything is pointed toward this mouse trap directly here. That is where all of the inmates will enter their day rooms. Each day room can be customized to whatever you guys would like. So we can do 2-man, 4-man, and dormitory style housing, and we'll get into that later on. What you're looking at now is the second floor. This is the control room style. So this is where your control room would sit. You have direct visibility into each day room and each cell. This allows you to be the most staff efficient. You can basically run this entire jail with 1 to 2 people in the control room and 2 rovers monitoring each day room during the course of a day. And up here, you can also have staff break rooms. You could have staff restrooms and whatnot up here. So that's kind of a quick synopsis of our housing pod.
So just to quickly jump in here, and this is Pete Peterson. So when you're looking at this particular pod, which is shown here, again, in the configuration where it's at, this roughly holds about 260, 265 inmates. We've done these modular designs, which are, as Cole had said, for efficiency of design, efficiency of cost for the counties which are doing it. You can get up to about 380 with different style size pods, but the concept remains the same, right? We want to limit the amount of bodies that needs to look over inmates, right? Staffing costs are hugely expensive, so we want to make sure we're designing these operationally efficient. And that's the reason for this kind of pie-shaped design and the mezzanine level, which you're seeing here. And obviously, the walls that sit in there obviously are day rooms for classification of prisoners. So I'll let Cole jump back in.
And we'll get into what these cells look like in some of the back of the cells and the maintenance areas here through these slides. So this is just a section cut, kind of showing you how that control room corridor and that secure corridor into the mousetrap looks. And then this is a section cut through a day room. So you can see how the cells are stacked on top of each other in that mezzanine located right there. So these are some actual photos of some of our facilities in Indiana. This is a photo from inside a control room, so you can see how you have direct visibility into each of these cells and each of these day rooms. This is a photo of one of our day rooms. I think those are 2-man cells. So you can see how the stairwell works, the mezzanine works, and kind of what our spaces look like. It's very durable, long lasting, no materials that can be easily destroyed. And then this is another photo looking straight up at that control room. So this is what the inmate is looking at. And it's mirrored glass, they cannot see inside. So while I was talking about those support spaces directly off of the secure corridor. So these are some spaces for programming. You can run GED classes. You can run any type of programming, religious courses, or whatever you want to do in these classrooms. And then we also have started doing video visitation spaces in there. So you can have a matron court or just another space to do quick video visitation or video arraignment. Roger, you want to talk about the back of the cells?
So the photograph on the right is the portion of the housing block. You can see all the plumbing, all the mechanical equipment, everything is at the back of the cell. So for meetings, when it's easy to do, it's often it's done when you're done. Don't kind of choose when you're doing maintenance, you don't have to lock down dozen blocks. The photograph is access from the back. The photograph on the left, yeah, that's a center core that Core was talking about with all your support spaces. One of the critical things of our design is the isolation of individual day rooms. We've seen instances where a substance can get put into one of the day rooms and affect the entire facility. Every side wedge of our facility is independently exhausted so that if you use kind of deterrent, tear gas, pepper spray, or whatever, you can exhaust that day room and it doesn't affect any of the other adjacent days. We also utilize a dry sprinkler system in the housing cells so that if inmates mess with the sprinkler system, sprinkler heads in their cells, they do not flood their cells or any part of the building. That is using a 24/7 man position that determines what the need is for water and then activates the water. So again, from a maintenance standpoint, from an operation standpoint, we're doing everything with what technology allows us to do to make your jobs easier to run this facility and not doing the
So here's some more images. This is just another section cut showing you how those cells interact with each other. They're just stacked like that, prefabricated, made in Georgia. So this is what that inside that mousetrap looks like. So if say you need to send an entire day room to a indoor-outdoor rec, which is also located, you can say let's say right here, you can pop this door and everybody in this day room can move into indoor-outdoor rec without a single jail staff member having to come down and escort everybody. So it's very staff efficient, and everything is sight sound separated. There were some images before. This is kind of a image of our competitor. If you have a female walking around here, they can see in the male. We don't prefer that style. We prefer this style where everything is completely sight and sound separated, so you can classify very easily. Here's another photo of our control room. That's just the second floor we already went through. So say you wanted to build a housing pod for a future 380 beds, but you didn't have the money for the 380 beds. You could hypothetically shell out 3 of these day rooms and then build out the rest of these to get to the count that you need today, and then allow yourself that future space to build out the rest for those 380 beds you might need in 20 years, 10 years. So it kind of gives you the flexibility to increase your bed count, but without building on to the facility.
And without adding any additional bodies and deputies needed to go ahead and work that housing top. So you're going to go ahead and give yourself the future flexibility to add people without adding more employees is the best thing about that.
And we'll show you what the shelled out space looks like here in a second. Yeah, so another thing we can do, this is what you're seeing here is the flexibility of these pie shapes. So as I was saying earlier, these pie shapes we do either 2-man cell day room, we do dormitory style day rooms, and then we do 4-man style day rooms. So those dormitory styles, you can get up to 36, 38. We don't like to go any higher than that because it's very hard to classify that many inmates in one day room. But that's kind of the different style pie shapes you can work with. This is some photos of a dormitory style. So what you're seeing is bunks with some books, very not a lot going on, just very direct. You have you have to have a seat for every single bed you have. So we'll have the dormitory style bunk housing here, and then you have an open restroom in the dormitories. These are some photos inside those prefabricated cells. So basically, they're shipped on a semi truck and brought in. They're pretty much laid out in about 3 days. It's pretty quick. They're manufactured, like I said, in Georgia, and it takes them about 6 to 9 months to fabricate all of these, and then they'll bring them in, lay them out. It's a very quick process, but this is kind of what they look like inside. This is a 2-man, and this is a 4-man. And they're different size based on the amount of inmates. Obviously, you don't want the same size cell for 2-man and 4-man. So this is where we'll talk about that shell style we were talking about earlier. So say you only wanted to build out this many day rooms because you only needed 180 beds. You could shell out the rest here, and then one day build out the rest of your housing pod to meet your budget today. So this is what that shelled space looks like. This is Hamilton County in Indianapolis, Indiana. Any day there's an overhead door on the backside of this photo. They can pop that overhead door and start laying in all of the prefabricated cells. We still put in the conduit and the pipe and the underground work for all of these cells. So it's a very quick process. And then basically you just build that demising wall, your pie shapes, and you're done. You're ready to go.
This project was done in 2016. Putting a proposal together right now to build out this portion of the.
So that was a quick synopsis of our housing pod. Let's go. We're going to show you some photos of some of our existing facilities and some that are in design right now. So what you're seeing right here are exterior shells of some of our sheriff's administration and jails. We'll go through each of them. So I know this is a larger size facility than you guys need, but this is kind of just showing how we design our facilities.
Your sheriff toured this facility while he was out there, so FYI.
Yes, Sheriff Morton, this is Hendricks County that you toured. So this would be a very large facility, but it's still the same principle. You have that secure corridor, your intake and booking with your large sally port, kitchen in the yellow, and then we always put your sheriff administration up front. So that we break out sheriff administration and the detectives, investigator area, large evidence, and that kind of thing. So these are some photos of that. This is already built. This is the lobby space. This is the large training room in that facility. These are 2 photos of the intake and booking. What's cool about this facility is we made the ceiling large enough that one day, if they did need to increase their intake and booking, which they may, they could just stack another row of cells on top of here. So then you can double the amount of holding cells that you currently have. This is the exterior of Hendricks County. It doesn't have to be this nice, but the owner had the funds for it. So this is Madison County. I'll quickly let's just go straight into. So this is Warwick County. This is one of the facilities that we think is adequately sized for a county of your population. This is around 280 beds. This is that housing pod area. That sheriff administration would be up top. You still have that secure corridor for missions right here. We're showing a Sallyport located here with intake and booking. There is a portion down here for medical. So a lot of times we like to make the intake and booking and medical area directly adjacent from each other. It also has easy access to the detention side. We do a trustee corridor right here. So if you do have trustee inmates, we like to put them close to the kitchen and laundry room, so they also are very efficient and they don't have to travel very far. There is also a mental health wing to this facility. This is one of the first times we've done this. We know mental health is in the forefront of the next phase of the judicial system. So we have created space in all of our new housing pods for mental health wings. So that is what this county decided to do in that pink area. And they also decided to do a multi-purpose space that can also be used for mental health in that support space area. That was a quick, I don't want to take.
So the cost of this one, which was started about a year ago, 9-10 months ago, it's under construction now, is right at 50 million.
This is what that facility looked like. Yeah, like Pete said, this is right around 50 million. It's got about 260, 280 beds, and then it has another 50 specialty beds for holding, medical, mental health. This is the front. This is the training room. This is where the investigators, detectives would enter, and this is your lobby space. This is the sheriff's administration lobby, and these are just renderings, but this is being constructed right now in Indiana.
So again, for the benefit of the commissioners, and I know the sheriff knows this, our DCCM has been around since 1954. We are municipal architects, primarily focusing on public safety and justice. So we've done work in probably 30 different states around the country, right? And we continue to look for opportunities around, such as yourselves, to go ahead and bring what we call our expertise to bear in terms of the issues that each individual county may be facing as it relates to their jail issue. So when we saw Sheriff Morton, I believe at the Oklahoma City show, the national show, he had kind of had some brief conversations. I know we've had subsequent conversations on a Zoom or Teams call with maybe one or two of the commissioners as well. So hopefully this is not new news. But again, we wanted to give this in a more formal manner and bring this in front of the complete commissioner setting at the request of the sheriff to do so. So at this time, we're happy to answer any possible questions we have. Again, if you guys feel that you need to see us in person, please request it. We're happy to come out and sit down in front of you to do whatever you guys need to do there. But if we can answer any questions for you now, we'd be happy to.
Thank you. Commissioner Marshall, do you have any questions?
Well, one of the questions I had, and it relates to maintenance of the detention center. Access or maintenance of that detention center is done in an exterior perimeter that is not accessible to any inmate. In other words, they do not have to interact any inmate in order to do regular scheduled maintenance or repairs. Is that correct?
That is correct. So when you're looking at the back side of those steel cells, that's a secure perimeter. The skin of the building on the outside is not the secure perimeter. So you have about an 8 to 10 foot kind of maintenance chase behind there, because you get a scissor lift back there to do that. So that's the benefit of that. When you're normally looking at doing maintenance in areas in old jails, you've got to send a deputy and or two, count tools in, count tools out, right? That doesn't happen as it relates to this. Okay, there you go. So
Yeah, that's
maintenance chase in the kind of the pink area there, that goes all behind there, and prisoners do not have access to that. That is outside the secured perimeter.
Okay, thank
that's a
you.
major innovation design that that maximizes security and minimizes contact.
Commissioner, oh, go ahead.
No, I didn't hear the question.
It was more a statement that
Oh.
it maximizes access without need for more personnel, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
No, that's
that was,
correct. One of the big complaints that we've heard over the years we've been doing this is maintenance is not easy to be done inside of a jail where you've got people who are in there trying to break it 24/7, right? So they want out of their jail cells what they want. So they want to do anything they possibly can to break something so the jail staff has to come in and fix it. So with our designs, we try to take that option away from them by putting it outside of the area which they can break. That's essentially what it came down to. So we
Yeah,
never
that is a major concern and problem we have with our current brick and mortar facility here, and it's one that we need to pay very careful attention to in any new construct.
so I will get to Commissioner Tremble next, but our facilities director is present. I don't know, Brian, if you have any questions at this point, or this is...
I do not.
Okay. I'm sure that he's in his mind wandering in happy places with this type of a design though. Commissioner Tremble, do you have any questions for these gentlemen?
No, I appreciate the presentation. I've obviously heard about this type of design, so it's great to see this presentation, and hopefully we're talking about it again sooner rather than later.
Yes, gentlemen, I personally don't have any further questions at this point, but I am grateful for the time you've taken to summarize this for us. The sheriff's report back from visiting was very positive. We, of course, are in the process, which will require an RFP for the final design build contractor, but this is helpful for us as we analyze our situation. It will be a greenfield site if approved by the community, and we hope to have some public-facing information within the next month to be able to share so we can take the next step. Sheriff, do you have anything?
I just want to say, Commissioners, real quickly, this has been an ongoing challenge for us. Our goal and our mission remains that we have a safe and humane correctional facility for today's correctional needs, which are much different than years ago. That includes a couple different phases. One is the ability to take in people who are dangerous to the public, the ability to provide programming and treatment for those suffering with medical and mental health needs while in a correctional facility. This jail is nothing you'll see like in our state. It allows the ability to properly provide high quality medical care inside the facility, mental health treatment inside the facility, and programming. One of the greatest challenges to any jail in the state of Maine is movement of individuals that are in the facility. It's not programming, it's the ability to have places for programming and the movement of individuals in the facility. In these types of facility, you're moving the provider and not the inmate population, which allows us to host many programs at the same exact time. It is just a totally different layout. Those are the two major concerns. If you don't care about either one of those two, and we only care about the cost, this is half the cost of what we were quoted a few years ago. And so if it's just about the money, this is a much better plan for us to move forward. I hope that we take this seriously and offer this out to RFP for design, to work with local designers as well as Cole, Pete, and Sanjay with their team. I toured two of the facilities in Indiana with other sheriffs from around the county, around the country, and we were blown away to think that you could have a detention correctional facility that provides protection for dangerous individuals, yet at the same time equally providing a great place for medical treatment, mental health treatment, and programming to reduce recidivism. That's the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do. Some folks just struggle to think that it takes a physical plant to do that. This would be a great cost savings. It would be much better for the inmate population and certainly better for our staff, which, as you know, we struggle to have employment. So I appreciate Cole, Pete, and Sanjay and your team, and I look forward to moving this forward.
Thank you, Sheriff. Gentlemen, we do appreciate this. We'll certainly be ready to advise you when we're at the design RFP stage. The sheriff's been very clear, as his staff has, that we're not adequately addressing the needs of our inmates, particularly those with mental health and healthcare problems in our current facility where we have no medical beds, so it requires us to take them all out. So based on the stressors that puts on our hospital ERs and the failure of the state to be able to provide the adequate mental health beds, we will look for a positive solution like this. So thank you for the work you've done to bring this to our attention. Any further questions from the commission? Seeing none, anything, Mr. Treasurer? Okay. Mr. Administrator, anything?
No, sir. All set. Very exciting.
Okay, good. Thank you for your time, and with that, we'll look forward to future discussions and information. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. At this point, we will move back in our agenda to item G, which would be the UT update, and I see Deputy Morrison is with us, and I believe we have the package of bids. It appears that we have 2 bids. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, what we're dealing with in the agenda is a truck bid. If, I'll do this one, you do that one. Someone, no, there's your, got it, okay. So we'll be opening the first bid, which is from Thornton Brothers of Lincoln, Maine. And what we have here is a bid for a 2025 Ram 2500 Crew Cab from Thornton Brothers. There are some specs here which I assume you worked, or you or George worked out with the bid process?
Yeah.
Okay. The bid price for Thornton Brothers is $45,280. There is a list here of everything that is included on that bid. The second bid. Thank you. Second bid is that's a copy of our bid letter. Okay, here we go. Vardy Ford, a 2024 Ford F-250 Extended Cab XL. Again, from the looks of it, it has some potentially clarifications on what the bid specs were, but it appears that it is similar to the bid we had for the first vehicle in terms of specifications. Their price is $56,120. These are the only 2 bids that we have received by the necessary date, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to take it under advisement, and I will go up and talk to George.
Yep, so we have a request to take these 2 bids under advisement. I would entertain a motion. I have a motion from Commissioner Marshall to that effect. Do I have a second? I have a motion, a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I will say aye. Commissioner Marshall? Okay, we have a unanimous, here are the bids. If you'd like to take a look at those, and if you have a report back from us today, fine. If not, maybe. Okay? We'll stay tuned.
We'll be here for a while.
Thank you, Tina. Next up would be our facilities update. Mr. McDonald, if you'd be kind enough to join us up front. As a note, Sheriff, I did receive a copy of the letter from Lieutenant Johnson related to the resource sharing. I assume you have seen this. Okay, good morning.
Good morning. A lot's been happening lately, especially with the weather. We struggled this weekend to keep up. I'm here to, one thing that I'd like to ask is repair to the wellness center, one of the wellness center shower rooms. We recently repaired the first. For whatever reason, the floor drain in the shower rooms is is the highest point on the floor. And when people use the showers, any water that gets out bypasses the floor drain and goes out the door into the wellness center. So we dug up the floor in the first one and made a necessary adjustment. Would like to do that with the second room. I don't have, the only price I have is an estimate from the contractor. It's about $3,000. And I'm asking you for approval for that.
And that's based upon what they did in the first unit, so that the cost would be similar?
It is, the cost will be a little bit higher than the first. In the first, we just replaced the floor in the immediate area of the floor drain, but this second shower room is a little smaller. And doing that would be more than 3/4 of the floor, so we're gonna take up all of the tile and just replace the floor in there. So it will be a little bit higher than the first room.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Administrator, can you give us some guidance? I know you're remote, as to where we might have funding for this. Do we have a building reserve, or would this fall under some of the allocations we've made previously?
That would fall under the allocations made previously. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we should be able to squeeze it in.
Okay. So where it's under, we would not be required to go out to bid on this, Scott?
I'm gonna say no, because we've already used the individual did on the first one. Contractors are limited. We are still continuing to search for contractors. We have a couple larger projects that we do need to go out to bid on, and hopefully things will change then. But I think this project, with the price line, we'll be okay to do it.
Okay. All right. At this point, I will entertain a motion regarding this issue.
I move we affect the repairs
To the Wellness Center.
wellness and respective to the, I guess the funds we already have available. It doesn't matter which department.
Well, I assume it does matter, but we have building reserves for these type of repairs.
we do.
Okay. So we have a motion to move forward with the repair to the second shower room. Dan, do you have any?
Yes,
Do you have
second, I had a question about funding as well. So when you say allocations already made, it's out of a building fund? Because I was in the impression in the past when we spent money on the fitness center, whether it was equipment or when we put the showers in, I thought it came out of, isn't there a wellness fund that we have that some of those funds come out of?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Scott.
The equipment would come out of the wellness fund, Commissioner Tremble, but any construction or major repairs or renovations have typically been budgeted or come out of the building fund.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second regarding repair to the second shower in the Wellness Center. Any further questions, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Thank you for that. Other items?
Franklin Street, we're still trying to get moving on that. I have an RFP ready to go. I'm waiting for the drawings. And our architect has had some things pop up that has delayed his, it's taken a little bit longer for him to get his work done with us. But it's understandable, and we're giving him as much leeway as we can. I should have those drawings soon, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to get that RFP out to rebuild that area.
Okay, so that would then, we're not at a position where we can put the RFP out because we need the finalized drawings.
Correct. We need some sort of a specification for the contractors to bid to. And without the drawings, we don't have that.
And you feel confident by next meeting we'll potentially have that?
I hope so, yes.
Okay. All right, well, keep us apprised on that if you would, please.
Correct, if
Thank you.
possible, of course, yes.
Other items?
And I think that's about it.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners? Seeing none from Marshall? All set, okay. Anything from the administrator?
I just wanted to mention that the downstairs bathroom, I guess the private one by the judge's office was redone, came out very nice. So that's one of the projects we had on our list to get done earlier, and just wanted to let the commission know that that's been completed.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your work, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate your time. Hopefully you took some happy thoughts from the presentation this morning.
Well, time will tell.
We will see, okay.
Yes.
Anything we do to make your life easier. Okay, at this point, I don't know, perhaps, Brian, you are also engaged in this discussion about redesign of the HR office, or? No.
Limited.
Okay, but in case you were leaving, I just want to make sure you were able to stay for this.
No, I'd love to hear what she has to say.
Okay, Tony, take it away. HR Director's report or update.
Good morning. So first, just a quick update. You'll see in your packets, I've provided you just a general staffing position on vacancies that we currently have, when they're posted, when they've been closed, how many interviews and how many applicants for open positions. Currently, we have open positions in the patrol division as well as corrections division of the sheriff's department. We have some dispatch positions open still, and we are in the process of filling a position in probate, EMA, and the DA's office.
Okay. Is encouraging based on some other figures we've seen in the past with vacancies. So
Yes.
has the ongoing recruitment process run into any issues that we might need to be aware of, or are you feeling good about that?
I think we're feeling pretty good in general. My staff and I have been trying to use other avenues for recruitment that we haven't been using in the past. Seems to help generate a few more applicants, more qualified applicants. Just in our last PRCC hiring, you often have individuals that will wash out through the pre-employment process, and they all went through. So we're getting really quality applicants for the county.
Great, great. Thank you. In regards to the program that I sent you an email on, I got feedback from Hudson University. I had reached out to their criminal justice VP, Chris Groton, who had put me in touch with the individual that handles internships, and that might be an area that we could explore if you have
Yes.
the opportunity to reach out to him.
Interns are always a great asset.
Yeah, good. Anything on further items, or you want to go right to the office redesign?
I'm ready for the office redesign.
Okay.
We had meant to bring this to you last meeting, and it kind of got forgotten about, I think. So one of the things that we're experiencing that we share, that front HR office, is also very public with the postage machine. Mary Ann also has individuals coming in often from the unorganized territories looking for different commissioner activities. And so in an effort to provide Jen and Michelle a little additional privacy as they perform those HR functions, the administrator asked that I look at some new cubicles with some higher walls and just different things that were cost effective to provide that privacy for the HR staff. So after researching several options, some that were, constructed walls, glass walls, different companies, this is the one that we have found most favorable, also the most cost effective. It does come, as you can see in the photo, the new office furniture as well as the two stations for HR have higher walls to allow some privacy, as well as a space behind their desk so that if they have an employee that needs to come in and sit down and talk about their benefits or some personnel matter, those employees are also in a private setting so that they can do that freely without someone coming into our office and being privy to information they shouldn't have access to.
So in the design that I see on the next to the last page on the HON, is that configured to the space we have downstairs?
It is. We actually had our representative from WB Mason come and measure our space and do it 100% to spec to ensure it's going to fit and provide the 36-inch ADA access points that are required.
Okay. Which way is the hall? Is there an estimated price on this?
That's right. It's just a little over 9,000. It must have cut off on the second page there.
Okay.
It was 9,300.
Okay, so we have a quote for about $9,300 based on the configuration that we've been provided here.
It comes up to 9,230.
Okay. Mr. Administrator, what would be the source of the money, and does this require us to take any further public action before we would vote to approve it?
Well, so the funding, there are a couple of escrow accounts in Fund 3 that could certainly help make this happen. And as far as, so we've sort of, in my opinion, have done an RFP process or gotten 3 quotes without going out. If the commission wished, it might behoove us to, now that we have a design and we have a product, that we put it out and see if there are any other responses to it.
Okay, I mean,
It's taken a while for us to get to a design that worked, both where HR was comfortable with it and some requirements that I had, such as sight line to the door and those sort of things. Still being aware of what's going on.
Okay. So at this point, I think, for myself, I don't want to speak for the commission, I'm favorable to moving forward, but we may need to take that extra step. Commissioner Tremble, do you have any comments?
Yeah, just if this is budgeted, I'm fine moving forward. My only question was, I might have broken up. I only heard the quote from WB Mason. It sounded like we only worked with them, but then I heard say we got 3 quotes. So who are the 3 people we reached out to?
There were a couple other larger agencies that weren't local, and they were over $15,000.
Oh, okay. So
They were pretty
all right.
significant.
Yeah, I'm fine. If we reached out to 3 places and we got this bid, I'm fine for the amount moving
Yes.
forward.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Marshall, anything?
No,
Okay.
covered all the bases.
All right, I'd entertain a motion at this point.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to go with WB Mason at the quoted price, and that would be installed, I'm assuming. Okay.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Brian, do you have any observations? You're happy? Sounds like somebody else is gonna come in and put this together for you. Unless you like part instruction.
No.
Okay.
It's hopeful, if it goes off as intended, no issues.
Understood, okay. Thank you. So we have a motion, a second, further discussion. So the motion will be to go with the quote from WB Mason for an installed system in the administrative offices. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, it is unanimous.
Thank you.
We're ready to go. Okay. At this point, Mr. Tony, there is one thing I do want to bring up. You were kind enough to share a copy of a informational brochure that you and the staff had worked on. The next item that is on the administrator's report is related to a conversation I had with the contractor to do some of that work.
Okay.
Not that I think you guys can't do it, it's just a timing issue to get something done, so.
Agreed.
Yeah, all right, so with that, Mr. Adkins, take it away.
Well, I don't have the agenda in front of me, Chair.
Okay, so let me
What's
give
the
you the
first
first one, is the informational brochure quote that we received from, I believe it's Apex. It
Yep.
was a 2325 is the quote. This would be a project to develop a public information brochure that could be used for informing people when they ask that ever-present question, oh, it's really nice you're a county commissioner, what do you do?
Right, yeah.
We want to provide information that we can use in both promoting the resources of the county and helping us as we move forward in the next phase of the correctional facility. The quote is based upon the design and compilation work of this brochure. It's for $2,325. I would entertain a motion regarding this issue.
So I move we approve the $2,325.
Do I have a second?
Second, so does it include any actual brochures or just the work to design it?
This would be the design and compilation work for this. It would include getting us the appropriate pictures of staff that would be included and designing the layout camera ready for print purposes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. The next item you have is the opioid committee discussion. If you think it would be easier for you to be present with us, we could postpone this to the next meeting.
I can. The only reason I brought it up, I'm still unmuted, right? The only reason I brought it up was because I know Commissioner Marshall brought it up, I think maybe the first part of the year. And I just don't want us to forget about it. I haven't come up with, I think each of us is supposed to come up with a couple of names. I haven't come up with any yet, but I think it's important just to have on the agenda so we get going. I think even if we get together and say, okay, here's what we want the committee to do, or we're still working on it. I know people have full plates, but maybe there's somebody we can designate to kind of oversee this group.
Understood. Why don't we, recognizing it is an important discussion and we have added you after we kind of started it, I think it behooves us to give you a chance to be here and maybe you can think of some folks and I will do the same to propose names and then we can move forward with the decision from there. Commissioner Marshall, do you have anything else?
Yeah, this is something I think we needed to move on quickly. These funds are needed by those institutions that provide these services to our communities. I've appointed my representative 3 months ago. Yeah, the quicker the better, and I'll leave it at that.
You'd be comfortable waiting for the next meeting when we can all be here?
I would be.
Okay, great. The next item is the United Way discussion, and we would entertain some of the representatives who are here to join us up front so that we can discuss whatever you are able to share with us. If you'd be kind enough to introduce yourselves to our vast viewing audience, that would be great.
Of course. Good to see you again. I am Matt Donahue. I'm Vice President and Chief Impact Officer with Heart of Maine United Way.
Good morning. My name is Shira Patterson, and I'm the President and CEO of Heart of Maine United Way.
Thank you both for being here today.
Yes, thank you for having us. I want to thank we have a number of folks who have come today to support us in this project and a number of folks who have joined online. And I wanted to thank them for attending, and I also wanted to make sure you folks knew that we had a number of folks that are here to support us in this project. And some of whom have had to drop off for other meetings. Jennifer Hutchins from the Maine Association of Nonprofits has been on the call and is supportive of this project. And I'd just like to share from a couple of hats I wear. I not only work at United Way, but I am the president of the Maine Association of Nonprofits Board. And this is a great need that a number of organizations will benefit from, the Nonprofit Community Hub project. There is nothing like this in the state of Maine and really not much like it around the country. And so it really is innovative, it's needed. And I'm going to let, I'd like to hand you the list of folks that have joined in support or have offered up their support so you have that available. And Matt has some prepared remarks.
Thank you. We'll be happy to take that. And, I'll make a copy and send it to both our administrator and Mr. Trumbull.
Fantastic.
So Matt, please proceed. If you'd introduce yourself again. We know you well, but
that's all right. Happy to do so. I'm Matt Donahue. I'm a resident of Bangor, and I work as Vice President and Chief Impact Officer with Heart of Maine United Way. So again, thank you all for your time and commitment to public service. I know that as a group, we're all focused on moving forward, and I want to keep that momentum. But I do think it's important that we briefly acknowledge sort of the background of how we got here. So it's important to note this is not a new project, a new application, or a new funding request. The Community Maine's Nonprofit Hub was originally approved for ARPA funding by both the Penobscot County Commissioners and the City of Bangor as a critical investment in our region's economic and nonprofit infrastructure. The contract for this project was executed with the county on February 8th, 2024, with a performance period through December 31, 2026, a 34-month timeline that recognized the complexities of securing property and launching this initiative. Yet just 10 months in and 25 months before the contractual deadline, funding was pulled without notice or opportunity for discussion, despite significant progress and investment of resources. At that time, the discussion was for the county to mirror the City of Bangor's approach, using ARPA interest earnings to support this project, assuming progress could continue on a timely basis. Since then, we've been working hard to do exactly that, accelerating our search for a site, engaging key stakeholders, and refining the project with guidance of an advisory committee, many of whom, as Shira mentioned, are either in the room or on Zoom today. We're now moving forward with a potential property that meets our needs, aligning with sustainability, economic development, and workforce growth as we outlined in our original application. We fully recognize the county is balancing many priorities, including critical infrastructure needs. However, this project represents a commitment that was made and a good faith effort that has continued. Unfortunately, we were not invited to present factual updates or answer commissioners' concerns before the funding was reallocated in December. Today, we are asking you to reinstate the $350,000 commitment from ARPA interest earnings following the City of Bangor's lead to ensure this project moves forward as intended. This funding is really essential, not just to United Way, but to the municipal leaders, businesses, and nonprofits who see its value in fostering partnership, development, and long-term regional impact. Again, you will see representation in the audience of those who value, support, and trust this work, in addition to dozens more who were unable to attend on such short notice. We do urge you to follow through with the commissioners' seeming consensus at the December meeting to invest ARPA interest earnings in this important project, recognizing the momentum behind this effort, and work with us to make this a reality for Penobscot County. In addition to the written update provided via email in late January and this brief verbal overview, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And again, I want to thank all three of you for all of your commitment to Penobscot County and serving as public servants.
Appreciate you saying that. I guess my question is, have there been any revisions to the project since you last reported to us?
Since the late January update, there has been continued conversation. We've engaged with a commercial broker. The property itself, there is a backup property, but the Plan A property has moved through the process. It is a University of Maine system building. It is now eligible to move forward. We've received the disclosures on that. Our commercial broker is working through that.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, for those of our citizens who aren't familiar with what the project is, why don't you give us a thumbnail of what this project is?
Absolutely. Yeah, so the Community Hub is really a nonprofit center that's going to address a couple of the key concerns and challenges that's facing our community's nonprofit sector. We're seeing capacity building challenges. We're seeing issues with retention. We want to build a space that shares costs, that brings nonprofits together to work collaboratively, that allows for adequate space to have private meetings, large meetings, trainings. And we also want to build in programming and curriculum that's outside of the scope of the ARPA funding. The programming efforts would support board placement, board training for-profit and other and people who are interested in serving on committees and boards, really to bolster the sector, to make sure that there's adequate representation to help support our nonprofit colleagues across not just Bangor, all of our rural towns. We're hearing a lot of the smaller food pantries are really heavily relying on often older volunteers who are running these food pantries, and they're really hoping for support to be able to fill a pipeline to be able to help support their communities moving forward.
And I would add another element of the project is around warehousing space. So often people want to donate goods to nonprofits, we can't take them right away. We have an example of a hotel that was renovating here in Bangor a year or two ago that was ready to donate 200 beds and all the things from those rooms, and nobody can take those and put them to use right away. But this warehousing space would allow for those types of donations to come in and then be allocated to the community when they could be put to use and put to use in a good way.
Yeah, and specifically more efficiently. We're currently, we received a couple months ago 12 pallets of diapers and baby supplies, and we're currently getting those unloaded in a parking lot, hand unpalletizing them, depalletizing them, moving them into a small doorway, and then pulling them back out one at a time. And so it's doable. We do it for the community, and it's necessary, and it helps so many families, but we need to be able to build at scale, and this is an opportunity to be able to take larger scale donations and get them back out to the communities we serve.
Dan, do you have any further questions?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to comment when it's at the
Sure.
appropriate time.
What can you tell us about your funding mechanism? In addition to what the city has provided, I believe you serve some other counties. Has there been any support from your partner counties on this project?
Yeah, as you, I think, illustrated over the weekend, you may have noticed in the recent Bangor Daily News that a lot of our neighboring counties took all of the ARPA funds and utilized them for county projects. Of course, many of them received less dollars than the larger Penobscot County. However, that process was really not used for nonprofit support in the other counties that we serve. However, we have had good conversations, not only with the municipal leaders, but also with the nonprofits that are in some of our other counties that are part of our service area, and even outside. I mean, Aroostook County it loves this project because they're often having overnight trips in Portland to do an in-person training and being able to provide a center here. So they're not in our technical service area, but we know that the reach is beyond just Bangor, just Penobscot County. It does have a much wider reach, but we have other non-governmental funding streams that are coming in, and a lot of excitement from private foundations and individual donors who are looking for the physical space to be secured before they're ready to commit. So that's sort of a large barrier right now with some of the interest in funders, is that they want to support the work and the programming and the staffing, but until we have the space to be able to execute that programming, we're sort of in the waiting room.
So I'm not sure I heard my answer as to whether other entities have provided, what percentage they've provided towards the estimated cost of the project.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking if other counties provide ARPA support. No, we have, we've sort of chunked it out into a larger phase. So the first phase, which would be acquisition and immediate renovations. So the present term is estimated at 1.1 million. So of which this $350,000 award would be about 32%, just under 32% of that. So the other chunks of that, of course, the City of Bangor's ARPA funds, private donors and other foundations would make up the remainder. Overall, the cost estimates, not including programming, just acquisition renovation in the 3-year term, is just over $2 million. And that's something that would have secondary funding sources that come in beyond that. So right now, we're really focused on that first layer, which is that 1.1 million.
Okay, how close are you?
We are ready to move forward with the acquisition and renovation if we are successful with this. This is really the big piece that will determine whether we can make an offer as soon as as soon as it goes on the market technically. Sure. And if we have to reevaluate, do we have the funds and how much money can we mortgage out to, we have to be responsible to our donors and our stakeholders.
I do. Dan, you had a comment you wanted or a statement you wanted to share?
Yeah, just generally on this, and I want just about the process really, because I obviously was involved in the process when the ARPA funds were allocated, which had to be done by December 31st of last year. But a ton of work was done by the two commissioners in the room, along with Commissioner Baldacci and Wendy, and everybody did a lot of work. And this made, this got $350,000 in ARPA funding. I went back and watched the December 3rd meeting of 2024. And first of all, I was kind of surprised. It seemed like a last minute thing where the ARPA administrator said, well, we've got this other thing we need to look at. And United Way was not invited to the meeting to talk about their project. And I think it might have been helpful at that meeting to know how things stood. But nonetheless, the impression was given at the meeting that it would be reallocated similar to what the city of Bangor did with interest funds. And I understand there's concerns or that there's pressing needs in the county with infrastructure needs, and maybe that's where the interest money should go. But if you think about it, we took that $350,000 that was allocated in ARPA money, and we reallocated it to infrastructure in the county. So it's really a wash if we take the interest money and put it back to this project, because the money we had allocated under ARPA funding was reallocated to infrastructure funding. So it's basically a wash as I see it. And I understand that we've got pressing needs, but this is obviously at one time was decided this was an important need and we should fund it at 350,000. So I just think our word is important. I wasn't on that vote at the time, but I think we need to stand by what we said at that December 3rd meeting, and I would support the 350,000 out of interest.
Okay, thank you. Marshall, do you have anything further?
Yeah, when we expired, when the December ARPA expired, it pretty much ended all of our expenditures of those funds, of course, had to be allocated by December. The new fund you're looking to tap into is not directly relative to ARPA, but I also went back and looked at the December 3rd commissioners meeting. I don't, and at that time, I think Commissioner Baldacci indicated that we would supply money or provide support according to Bangor. But given that this fund that we have is limited, we don't know what our needs are going to be. I'm hesitant to allocate $350,000. That's a good chunk of the money we have on this one project that should have actually come through the ARPA process itself. So I'm not prepared to go with $350,000. I will, however, in keeping with our commitment, move, and I would make the motion of $100,000 for this project.
And we have a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second that.
So we have a motion and a second for 100,000. I'd just like to share my position on it. While I don't question that this is both a valuable and worthwhile project, the overriding concern I have as a commissioner for the county is we have a serious deficiency in our jail funding. I think I've shared that with you because I didn't want to surprise you today. My concern is we're now at 3 million roughly that we are unable to secure through the model that the state has put us in for property tax funding. And there's been a failure on the state's part to recognize most jails needed supplemental funding. So while we get a base amount under the jail funding model, we are far from what we actually need on an annual basis to operate our jail. So we are eating into our fund balance in a way that's unhealthy. So for that reason, regardless of how worthwhile any of these projects are, I personally can't support funding that we are going to need for operations, and we're likely a couple of years out before we can have a new facility. So having said that, I'll respect that we have a motion on the floor. Do we have any further discussion?
Is it too late to chime in?
Unfortunately, yes, we have a motion, but I appreciate, the passion that you all have brought and the professional way in which you have addressed this. I think the support of what you have on your board and in the community is commendable, and I appreciate that the United Way has served a great role. So this is not in any way an inference on your work or the organization. It's a financial matter for me. So with that, if there's nothing further from the commissioner or the treasurer, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And one opposed. So at this point, we have agreed to 100,000. I know that's not everything that you were hoping for, but I am cautiously optimistic that you will be able to move in the direction you need to with that. And just so you're aware, we're going to treat that as we have with other things. The money will be dispersed when the county has been advised that you're ready to move forward. So
that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you all for coming for this project, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, At this point, we have one other item, which is the abatement appeal hearing for Macocca versus Stacyville. Mr. Administrator, do we know if this, is there anyone present to your knowledge in the room? I don't see anyone that is present.
They may be online. I did notify them. Yeah.
Okay. According to Tony, they are not. I would like to, in the interest of the grievances we have to deal with in the 11:15 call, that we would postpone this to our next meeting.
Okay.
Do we have any other items that you wish to bring forward at this point?
I think the only other item was the first meeting in March. I believe that 2 of the commissioners are in DC at NACO.
Thank you, yes.
March schedule, yep.
I was going to recommend that we consider moving our meetings to the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays in March, if that does not disrupt the other commissioners' schedules.
I will be in Florida on the 4th, on the 4th meeting.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
I'll tell you from a personal standpoint, in my role as MCCA president, I'm hopeful to get to other counties, so this would give me at least the opportunity to visit 2 other county commissioners if we move from our regular 1st and 3rd. If that was not too awkward for you, if you would be amenable to come in virtually on the 4th meeting, if that doesn't disrupt your schedule.
I think we can figure something out.
Okay, all right, so at this point, we would notify people. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I can be there in person on the 4th. I thinking we weren't meeting on that 2nd Tuesday. I'm actually in Washington for, got to meet with the Senate delegation about convenience store items.
Understood.
The 18th you're talking about?
Yeah, I think that's
an 18th?
Yeah.
I think it's the next
Be
week.
in town in DC all day, in meetings all day that day, or, Dan?
Oh, I'm sorry, on the
18th
11th, yeah, I get there on Tuesday morning. I fly out Tuesday morning.
You do?
Yeah.
You have meetings in the afternoon?
Not on the first day, I don't believe. I'll have to look at the schedule. I think the first day afternoon is okay.
Okay. If we
we could probably do noontime on Wednesday, noontime on Tuesday.
Okay. So you would be flexible to do something later in the day on the 18th?
Yeah, or even early, maybe late morning. I think I get there at a fairly early time, so even like 11 o'clock.
All right, so we can adjust the 18th time accordingly. Well, we'll work with you to sort that out, but we will move the meetings to the 1st and 4th. Actually, in March, no, we'll be gone the 1st.
The 2nd, wouldn't it be the 11th?
We'd be the 11th and the 25th is what
Right, the 11th is the day I've got the problem.
Right.
Okay. So we would adjust the meeting on the 11th to accommodate.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Late morning.
All right. With that, we'll note that. I don't think we need to take any action as far as voting, do we? We just post it, so we've notified people. Okay. That takes care of that issue. We've postponed this. We're now on to item L, which is approval of the warrants as posted in our agenda. I would entertain a motion regarding those warrants.
We approve the warrants on item L on the agenda for 18.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, it is unanimous. At this point, do we have any other business that we need to address, or shall we move to the executive sessions?
Can I?
Yes, we do. Tina was back, so I knew I said that for a reason. Okay, we have a report back on the 2 bids for the UT truck. If you'd like to present what you have, Tina.
Yes, I spoke with George, and we would like to go with the 25 Ram through Thornton Brothers.
Okay.
It met all the specs that we asked for, and it's well within our budget. They will have to order it. I called, they said it would be approximately 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay,
And their price was $45,280.
so it was the low bid.
The low bid,
The other one was
yes.
50,000, wasn't it?
56.
56, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion.
I make a
pending.
motion, we accept the Thornton's bid of, for 2025 Ram of 45,200.
208.
And a,
Yeah, I would second that. I think for a one-ton extended cab, that's a very good price.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second, further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, it is unanimous. Thank you for your prompt work on that.
Thank you.
We'll look forward now to motions related to some executive sessions that we would go into, which would include